Okay, Mary.
Okay. Switch to gallery view. Good afternoon, everybody. Abby, I'm loving the hat. So, as before we start our session today on Reach Out and Touch Part 2, I would like to remind everybody that if you're not speaking, to please put your phone on mute so we don't have any interference. Also, remember that you are required to fill out your session feedback so you can get credit for attending this session. Today is August the 8th, and it's 2 o'clock, and we are continuing our discussion on Reach Out and Touch Part 2. And it's going to be a follow-on discussion from the diversity and inclusion standpoint. And again, we have our sisters from Howard University. They're going to help us facilitate this talk about diversity and inclusion and how we can affect our membership in the sorority. And then we will open it up for some questions and then have a time of sharing so we can find out what's working at your prospective campuses and what ideas we can help you generate going forward for those campuses that are not as diverse. The reason I entitled this Reach Out and Touch is because any sister that's in your class or that's in your environment, that's in the same major that you have or in the appropriate major is a potential sister. So we want to make sure that we are reaching out to everyone that we can. That's why I call it Reach Out and Touch. So old Supremes, Diana Ross used to sing that. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. I would sing it, but I'm not going to do that for you to y'all today. So I think I have, who am I looking for? Angelica Carr. Let's go ahead.
Yes.
Let's get started. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. So today we were really going to do something interactive, so it just wasn't us talking at you guys again. So we're going to do Kahoot. For those of you who are familiar, it's kind of like an online game where you'd be viewing somebody else's screen while answering questions, and whoever has the correct answer at the fastest time gets the most points. But you do just get points for answering, but that's how the ranking system works in that game. So we're going to try to get it up on the screen shortly, but for right now, it'll help if you have a phone or another computer near you to go to kahoot.it, and I'll drop that in the chat right now.
I've never done Kahoot. Okay. And I'm going to go get my hat too. I can't leave that.
Okay, and so we'll be sharing the code to get into the Kahoot on the screen shortly. So just keep your eye out for that.
Okay. Game pin, 864.
Okay, so I think we'll give it another like 2 minutes to that 1:11. We're going to start the Kahoot, just for people to join.
Okay, so Christina, I am Agent Newt.
Okay.
Okay.
I like these names that they have.
Right? These names are hilarious.
Okay, so it's now 1:11. Everybody who's going to play should be in here by now. So Ronnie, if you want to go ahead and start the Kahoot, that would be great. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you guys got that question, but let's just discuss it right now. So the question was approximately 4.5% of U.S. adults, which is 14.65, identified as LGBT in 2017. How many identified as transgender? And I actually right now cannot see what the appropriate answer is. Okay, so I was going in and out. Can you guys hear me now?
It's still kind of
Can you hear me
choppy.
now?
It's still
Yes,
kind of
Can you hear me now?
choppy.
It's still choppy. Okay.
But we can have someone else speak for you. That's fine.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that'd be
Thanks,
better.
Jen.
Yeah. So the question was approximately 4.5% of US adults, which is 14.65 million people, identified as LGBT in 2017. How many identified as transgender? And 1.4 million people did, and it seems like a lot of you guys got that right. So that's really good. But oh yeah, so you can go to the next question. I don't know who's presenting. And Daring Fox is in the lead.
Whoever Daring Fox is, you're doing good.
What percentage of Purdue's campus is African American? Okay, so 15 people got this question right. A lot of people thought it was less than 15%, which is actually shocking when we all were like searching for looking for this answer. It's actually really shocking to see that only less than 3% are actually African American on Purdue's campus, and you would think that it's a more diverse school. So
Does Purdue have a big campus? Do they have a lot of students? Does anyone know?
Yeah, they do.
They do. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Royal Impala is now in the lead. Sorry, Daring Fox.
How many HBCUs are there in the United States? Oh, dang, 40,000? Three seconds left. All right, so the answer was 152. Only one person? Okay, I was the only person to get this right, so I'm kind of happy. So most people thought that it was 52. There are a lot of HBCUs comprised of both four-year institutions and community colleges. So yeah, there are 125. Wow, look at me. Okay, next question. There I am, Radiant Crab. I think they gave me that name because I'm from Maryland, you know, Crab.
So the next question is, which of these groups support LGBTQ plus engineers? So this is good. A lot of you got this one. It's OSTEM. And this one was a learning experience for me too when we were putting this together yesterday. So good job for those of you who got it right. Those of you who didn't, you're learning just like me.
Oh no, I'm still at the top. Okay. So the question asks, blank and blank students report race discrimination at school each year. I'm on a roll. Okay, so the answer was 1 in 4. 1 in 4 students report race discrimination at school each year.
What percentage of undergraduates reported having a disability in the 2015-2016 academic year? Okay, only
I just want to make it known that I didn't see any of these questions before. If anybody thinks I'm cheating.
Only 8 people got this one right. So, okay. Which is 9? Okay. Who? Wow, you're still in the lead. That's crazy about you, LaDacia.
I know, right? Crazy. I see Diana says she's from Virginia. I went to West Virginia. Was it West Virginia? For spring break.
Black women are 10 times more likely to experience a pregnancy-related death rather than white women. Really, yeah, definitely. 4 times more likely. Yes. So 17 people got this one correct. And mainly this is just because medical professionals in the past were taught that Black people or Black women in general could handle more pain and trauma than white people or other races could.
Oh, somebody took my spot. It's all right. I'm coming for you, Daring Fox.
I see you.
Okay, the next question asks,
In this one US study found that resumes with white sounding names received what percent of more callbacks than black sounding names?
oh, I know this one.
So the answer is 50%, which is, you know, in 2020 kind of a surprising thing to hear. But that's just to kind of let you know the world that we're still living in.
Someone asked for the source, so if anybody who made the question could provide the source, that would be great. So the question asks, what percentage of random stops by the NYPD are African American and Hispanic American? Oh. I ran out of time. So the answer was 80%. Most of you guys got that correct, so great job.
Royal Impala. Nice. I see top 3 keep going after each other. Black and white Americans use drugs at similar weights, but Black Americans are blank times more likely to be arrested. Okay, 11 people got this one right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought it was 3 times.
No. I believe it has to do with like over policing of minority communities.
Mm-hmm.
So this next question is, what percentage of students with a disability that obtain an undergraduate or graduate degree in STEM?
Mm-hmm.
We can send out the sources to these questions afterwards, or we can give them to whoever to distribute them. We can make a document with all the sources.
So the answer is 6 to 10%, which is, you know, very disheartening for our STEM folks.
Okay, I'm back at the top.
So ethnically diverse companies are blank more likely to perform their respective national industry medians. So the answer is 35%, and this is where diversity really comes in key because, you know, it's not just necessary, it actually works out for everybody in the end.
Spoke too soon. So this question asks, blank of millennials are more engaged at work than they believe their company fosters an inclusive culture. So, wow, this was 83%. So 83% of millennials are more engaged at work when they believe their company fosters an inclusive culture. That's really surprising. I put 44%, but it's actually 83%. Wow. Okay. Darian Fox is still in the lead. So which school produces the most Black engineers? Okay, so although we go to Howard University, North Carolina A&T actually produces the most Black engineers. So the 5 who got it right, good job.
Aggie pride.
Howard is still the best though, so we can let that go.
HU, you know.
You know.
It's what it is. Gender diverse companies are blank more likely to outperform their respective national industry members. %, one person got that right. So
You said one person?
yeah, didn't it say one person got that right? Pretty sure.
I think so.
Yes.
So
that
which
one-
is not a Divine Nine sorority?
So, just so a small refresher, Divine Nine sororities are historically Black fraternities and sororities.
Oh, this is kind of split evenly. So the answer was Kappa Alpha Psi. This is actually a Divine Nine fraternity, not a sorority. The rest are all sororities.
But all of them are great options to partner with when
Yes.
considering diversity and inclusion. So a study in 2016 found that the median wage for whites with a bachelor's degree was $75,000. What was it for Blacks and Latinos? So the answer is $65,000. And that's just, a huge wage gap. There's nothing much more to say there. Hello?
Needs to mute their mic.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So true or false, inclusion means that everyone is happy and we get along great. That is false, because ultimately inclusion in and of itself means that you're going to be including more ideas, even some that might be contrary to yours, and that's okay. It's fine if there's disagreement and discussion. What's important is that it doesn't stop everybody from working together and still being able to move forward.
Period.
So it's another true or false question. Having a retreat is a good way to overcome bias.
Okay. Sorry.
So good job, everybody, for saying true. Those of you who said false, I'm just going to give 5 chapters, 2 cents about retreats. And we have retreats at least twice a year. One when people first express interest in the sorority, and one right after they finish going through their initiation process. And basically what this is to do is to try and make sure everybody can explore each person's story. So even if they're quote unquote a stranger to you or you don't understand them, you can still try to relate to them at some level. So you won't be so quick to judge or, you know, just have different necessarily non-constructive opinions about them.
So true or false, sisterhood is timeless. True or false? Let's see who gets this wrong. Okay, amazing. I was expecting the answers to look like this. So the answer is definitely true. Sisterhood is definitely timeless. I think that was the last question, was it? So congratulations to myself. I did win. But it's all right. I didn't see the question, so I didn't cheat.
Daring Fox
but
held on tight, okay? Whoever Daring Fox is, you held
yes,
on tight.
Daring Fox and Cute Fox. Okay, I see the
you.
Foxes winning. So I'm going to give it to you guys since I was a part of, I didn't help make the questions, but. So thank you all for participating in this quick game. We just wanted to have this game to gauge where everyone was in terms of these facts and just help people learn new things. I definitely learned some new facts that I didn't know before. So this is really helpful. Next will be, we have like 30 minutes left. So we'll then be transitioning into a short PowerPoint about implicit bias. So I'm just going to give a few minutes for them to set that up.
Okay, Hannah, I don't want to say your last name wrong, Stoppenhagen, but
you got it.
She was Cute Fox and she killed it, okay? So, still waiting on whoever Daring Fox is, but okay, top three. That's all that matters. Those are the ones that get pedestals, you know?
All right, so we have the slides up about implicit bias. So you can go on to the second slide. Here's a short video about what implicit bias is and how to recognize it. So you can click on the video. Is the sound working? No, the sound isn't working, Ronnie.
Well, until you get the sound working, I want to say congratulations to Mackenzie.
Yes, congratulations, Mackenzie. She was Daring Fox? Okay.
Yes, girl, you held on. You held on through those tough times. I saw you.
I wish they would have listed the top 5 who were in the podium because there were a few more people who were doing really good. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for participating in the Kahoot.
Yes.
If we can't get the video to play, it's fine. I'll just skip it.
But they just wait, before you hit the share screen, you have to select the box that says share your computer sound.
Okay.
Implicit bias.
Implicit bias.
2016 was the year that implicit bias went somewhat mainstream.
Yeah, so when Hillary Clinton mentioned implicit
Ronnie, the sound went out again. Just try to replay it.
Mentioned implicit bias in the
Implicit bias.
Implicit bias.
Implicit bias.
2016 was the year that implicit bias went somewhat mainstream.
Yeah, so when Hillary Clinton mentioned implicit bias in the debates, our phones started blowing up, all our friends started emailing us about it.
But what is implicit bias? Implicit biases are basically thought processes that happen without you even knowing it. Little mental shortcuts that hold judgments you might not agree with, and sometimes someone a racist.
The word racist is a highly loaded term, right, here in American society. A lot of times, when people are using it, they're thinking of the kind of old-fashioned Ku Klux Klan style racist.
But implicit bias isn't anywhere near that, explicit.
Implicit bias is something that comes out of ordinary mental functioning, out of how the mind normally works.
We've all grown up in a culture with media images, news images, conversations we heard at home, our education. Think of that as a fog we've been breathing our whole life. We never even realized it, what we were taking in.
And that fog causes associations that lead to biases.
I somehow know that if you say peanut butter, I'm going to say jelly. That's an association that's been ingrained in me because throughout my life, peanut butter and jelly are together. And in many forms of media, there's an overrepresentation of Black men and violent crime being paired together.
And because of that, I actually deep down inside have been taught that Black men are violent and aggressive and not to be trusted, that they're criminals, that they're thugs.
With all those associations, I'm not trying to let us off the hook, but in some ways, none of us stood a chance.
Starting today, we'll post a video a day dealing with one challenge of understanding implicit bias and its relationship to race and exploring ways we might combat the problem. One more thing, if you're seeing this and thinking that it doesn't apply to you, well, you might be falling prey to the blind spot bias. That's the scientific name for a mental bias that allows you to see biases in others, but not in yourself. We're biased.
Implicit bias.
Okay, thank you. So what is implicit bias? As stated in the video that we just watched, implicit bias is an unconscious association, belief, or attitude towards any other social group. And these associations can be positive or they can be negative. And everyone engages in implicit bias. Everyone has a bias about a certain group. And it doesn't mean that you're prejudiced or that you're racist or you're inclined to discriminate against people, but it just means that your brain is simply making associations and generalizations that it naturally would. And these opinions can be formed from our environment, from the media, from our home, how we grew up, who raised us, and even from credible sources like a close friend. So you can move on to the next slide. So recognizing your biases. Since a lot of our biases do stem from our environment in which we came from, and we really can't escape this influence, but what we really can do is become aware of what our unconscious bias is and the ways in which our society influences us to have these biases. So in terms of the sorority, there's no real way to completely remove bias from our recruiting process. The only way we can really start to mitigate some of this bias is to have implicit bias training, whether that be formal or personal. So whether it be a formal implicit bias training amongst our respective chapters, or just going on a personal journey to recognize what our biases that we hold against others are, and then ways that we can mitigate these biases that we have. Another way that we can recognize our bias is to focus on seeing everyone as an individual, because in reality, every single person on this earth is unique. And not everyone is the same. Everyone is an individual. We also need to adjust our perspective and try seeing things from another person's point of view instead of categorizing them. So how would you respond if you were in their position, and what factors might contribute to how a person acts in a particular setting or situation that they're in? You can go to the next slide. So in terms of mitigating our implicit biases that we have, we need to first become aware of what our implicit biases is and acknowledging that they do exist and that everyone has implicit bias. But we also need to learn how to not act on these implicit biases that we have, especially when they negatively impact another group or person. And so in the end, that was the end of my presentation about implicit bias. I'll just open up the floor for questions, but I first want to just remind everybody that we are sisters, and this is just a collage of pictures from our Phi Sigma Rho sisters from all across the nation. And so I just want to thank you all for, first of all, coming and hearing us talk. You guys didn't have to be here, but you chose to be here, and we really do appreciate you guys listening to us today and yesterday. And so I'll just open the floor up for any questions.
First of all, I want to say thank you for the excellent information that you have shared with us. I have certainly learned a whole lot, and thank you for being willing to help me forward these discussions, right? And you all have been so transparent in what you wanted to see happen for the betterment of the sorority. And so I just want to tell you all thank you. I'm learning a lot too, right? And I appreciate the allyship term that you all gave us this week. And I also appreciate the presentation on implicit bias. So you all, thank you so much. And we look forward to having more discussions. All right, somebody else, I know somebody else has a whole lot to say besides me. So thanks so much.
Were there any facts that's, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Hi, I'm Celia. I'm the president at the University of Michigan, so ADA chapter. I just had a question. So if we are interested in like trying to put together an implicit bias training, like for our chapter, for example, I don't think I'm the best person to necessarily put that together. So what kind of resources should I turn to help us make sure that the training that we're doing is like really comprehensive and accurate?
Sure. So the first thing that you want to make sure you're doing is doing a lot of research. I know in the chat right now, some of my sisters are putting some resources that you can turn to. There are a lot of universities who already have implicit bias trainings and tests put together. I know there's a Harvard one, and then there's, I forgot what the other schools is, but they're putting them in the chat right now. We can also offer a list of them when we send out this presentation. So that's how I would do it, just doing research online and finding certain implicit bias trainings, maybe reaching out to someone who's an expert in implicit bias, emailing them and getting to know them and seeing if they can host an implicit bias for your chapter. Does anybody else have any other suggestions? Those are the two that pop in my head for that question. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, somebody said in the chat that Facebook has a good one too.
Okay, Facebook.
And Google.
Perfect. Yeah, that's very helpful. I appreciate that.
Were there any like facts or anything that surprised anybody from today? I know there were a few that I wasn't expecting to see, even though I did win. There were a few that I didn't expect to see. Or if anybody had any questions about the previous days or any questions that you didn't get unanswered from any of the other sessions that we had previously, you can also ask them here too. And I know Angie probably had a few questions. If she wanted to answer some here, I'm not sure if she wanted to.
We definitely can, but I would love to hear everybody's voices to talk to me. Like, reading is cool, but hearing you guys is much better for me.
Yeah, because what we really wanted to come across with these presentations is that this isn't this is a learning experience for everybody, really. It isn't just for, you know, our sisters at other schools. I've learned a lot throughout this process too when getting this information together and doing my research. So this is a learning experience for everyone. I didn't know what implicit bias was before I searched it up. And, you know, I didn't know that our campus too can do can benefit from some of the diversity things that we can implement on our campus as well. So someone asked a question in the chat.
Yeah. Just to realize that even though this is about educating other ethnicities, cultures, and races, that even minorities have to educate themselves as well. Even we are still learning about things, and we are still doing self-reflection about our own actions that we take that may be considered discriminatory or may be considered rude and stuff. So realize that it's a good, I'm definitely agreeing with LaDacia. It's one of those things where we're all learning about something. We're all trying to educate ourselves. It's not just one group of people having to educate themselves. We as minorities kind of live through situations that other people are educating themselves on. We still have to educate ourselves on what other people are going through as well.
Somebody asked, could you talk a little bit more about how you use retreats to promote diversity and what they might look like with COVID? We're a small chapter, really looking to grow, so any tips would be appreciated. I think Angie could speak good on this, on the retreat aspect, because I didn't put together a retreat.
Yes, so using the retreat as a way to attack bias and get to know each other is more so just finding common things that you all can bond over. Like, for example, my year, when we had hours, we made it an all-night thing. So from Friday night to Saturday night, you couldn't leave the room, you couldn't go anywhere, all food was delivered, you just had to spend that whole time together. So obviously in the time of COVID, that's gonna be different, but getting on a Zoom call or, well, I know Zoom calls are timed, but if you get on Google Meets, that's something that's free, and you guys could do something like a movie night. Like I know for us, we bonded. Christina, do you remember what movie we watched that night? I can't think of it, but it literally opened the floor and got everybody to talking about different things.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me, but we basically just watched a lot of Netflix. Like, it was a lot, I want to say. And I want to say one of them was the one about that little girl and her mom has, like, the syndrome where you want to, like, keep them children to keep them safe. We watched a lot of things, okay? I would say someone wanted to send you Netflix Party. Netflix Party is a really great option. Prime has a party feature now. You can also do like Zoom sessions where someone shares screen to do watch parties. So personally, I think that in terms of keeping it virtual, definitely utilizing the things that you already have been during this retreat, you know, utilizing Zoom and utilizing your socials, watch parties, things like that. That's going to be the best way to host your retreat. And kind of doing things like what we did, do a Kahoot, do like games. There are like a lot of, if you type in the games to play on Zoom, it'll come up on Google. And we were kind of like going back and forth about ideas that we were going to do for these sessions. But there's lots of hands-on games you can do during a retreat. And yeah, and so in terms of using it to promote diversity, just like what we did earlier is a great example of how to use the retreat structure, especially in the online setting, to promote diversity.
And honestly, this is going to be something that nobody wants to hear, but having those corny conversations like, what do you think your dream wedding is going to be like? That's something that everybody can really bond to and get to talking, and it'll open up the doorways for different things. I know for Phi Chapter, we like to talk about food and different ways we can cook things. I learned from those conversations because I myself am not the cook, but my sisters always try to make sure that they have ideas that'll be even easy for me to do. So those are just little things that we do. I definitely understand the small chapter struggle. Phi Chapter is a mighty 9 of us. So
we're a very small chapter.
And you know what? I wanted to also say what me and a couple of my friends we're doing. We're having spa night.
That's a good idea.
We're doing facials. You know, I get on the Zoom and I scared my sister half to death. Right? You know, we just and you know, just with me and some of my friends. So whatever you can do, because everybody, you know, everybody needs a time to relax, right? And what's more fun than putting on a facial and putting, you know, and just relaxing with your pajamas on, with your hair tied back, you know what I mean? So there's always things that you can do to build relationships. And I think more than anything, we want to be able to build relationships across demographics, right? Everybody has skin. We're sequestered. We can't go anywhere, right? Bring your favorite snack. What, you can be so creative, and then you can even match up, do things with different chapters.
Mm-hmm.
You got time, you got space. I mean, we're not going anywhere. You can be so creative now. Where we used to have to worry about travel budgets, we don't have to worry about travel budgets now, right? It's just, all we have to manage now is time zones. Just some food for thought. So I'm going to have a beauty night. So I'm going to let you all know when I'm having it. And y'all just come and have some fun with me. Because
I'll definitely be there.
I have you cracking up.
I'll be there, Mary.
Because I need one.
Oh, no worries. We have so much fun. We sit there and laugh and just giggle about stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what I find now in this time that we're having, sometimes it's just good just to laugh. So normally, would I put this church hat on? Nope. But since my sister had on hers, I had to, I can't let her sit out there by herself. So I went and found a quick one. And my son said, put this one on. So that's what I did, right? Normally, in different circumstances, you have a totally different look. But I can't let Abby hang out. So she did that yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm going to put my hat on. But it's all in good fun, right? Because see, really, what we were supposed to be doing, if we were all together, we were going to have tiara. I'm just saying. So,
So, piggybacking off of what Mary said, I'm just going to emphasize something. Be sure to be inclusive when you make your retreat event, because, like she said, everybody has skin. But I think I saw something today where like someone was having a retreat, and it wasn't necessarily a sorority retreat, but it was a retreat for like influencers, and they did blowouts. And that was not necessarily an inclusive event, because imagine if someone had braids, or imagine if someone, didn't have hair at all. That wasn't necessarily inclusive. So make sure that you're being inclusive and mindful when you're making your retreat event.
And really, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't even have to be scary. You know what I mean? It's just that reach out and touch, right? Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Yeah, all of that. But
y'all like drinking tea? You can have a tea party. I love tea. I'm not a coffee person, but y'all can have a tea party.
Yep. Pizza. You still have pizza night.
Mm-hmm. What did Ronnie just say? She said you can always ask your sisters what ideas they might have before you plan retreats.
Yep.
Did anybody have any other questions?
This is a
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I'm candidate educator for my chapter, and one of our values is diversity. And so do you have any good short activities that would teach our candidates more a little bit about diversity? The Zoom meetings that we're going to have to discuss this is going to be about an hour long, and it's mostly dedicated to the values. I just want to hear any ideas that you guys have for that.
So you said that you guys wanted to, it's geared towards diversity?
Yeah, so sorry.
No,
there's of our list of values, one of the values we have to go over is diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to, I was thinking of maybe do similar bingo things, where they have a bingo card and stuff, and they see what somebody else has that's similar.
Yeah, that's the one that popped in my head.
I think it's kind of going to be a little bit hard to do virtually, and that's my main concern on that one. So I was wondering if you guys had any quick ideas.
I would say there's a YouTube channel that I watch. I'm not sure if everybody watches. It's called Jubilee. And so they usually have it in person, but now that it's on Zoom, they kind of ask people. So there's one person who asks a group questions, and then whoever agrees with the question or the question aligns with them, they keep their camera on. and then whoever doesn't cuts their camera off. So you'll say, somebody asks a question like, who here has brown eyes? And so then whoever has brown eyes will keep their camera on, and everybody else would keep their camera off. And then the people who have their camera on will have like a discussion or anything geared towards whatever question you ask. And then you would let the other people in, and then you follow up the discussion, you know, keep talking about it. That's the only thing that I could think of in terms of that bingo game, because the bingo one is really good, but it sucks because everyone's not in person. Usually when you're in person, like you go around the room and you match up with the other people who fit with you. But I think it might be easier like with Zoom to have people cut off their camera and turn on their camera if a question, like if they agree with a question or whatever. That's the only way I could kind of think of how to do it. I would have to do some more thinking about more events that you could have specifically. But in terms of the bingo one, that's the idea I would have for that one. Hope that helped.
I actually really love that idea. That's super helpful. I haven't seen a Jubilee video in a minute, so I haven't seen their recent ones. But thank you.
No problem.
So now I gotta go see what Jubilee is, because I haven't heard of it.
It's really good. It's basically, so they have different debates, and it'll be like a versus debate. You'll have like Republicans versus Democrats, and then you'll have the Republicans on one side and the Democrats on one side, and then there's a moderator who asks a question, and then whoever agrees with the question will come and sit down, and then they would discuss why they agree with that question. And then after they talk, then the rest of the people will come in and they would have a discussion about it. It's really good. It's really good. They have a lot of different groups come in and talk. Like they'll have Black Republicans versus Black Democrats or something like that. It can be really interesting, or like pro-life versus pro-choice, stuff like that. So I've been binge watching their episodes.
And you say it's on Netflix? Or
no,
YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
YouTube. Okay, thank you. That's helpful. You know what? It's 2:57. You see how our time just flies.
Right.
And thank you for everyone. Tabitha, Diana, Allison, Isabella, Caitlin, you all were quiet, but I think you were very engaged. Sam, thank you so much for attending. Angelica Park, Caitlin Will, Mackenzie, Avery, Rachel, Ansley, Ruth. Let's just keep the discussion going, right? And as we close, you can see that we've learned a whole lot. Thank you so much, ladies, for the Kahoot Interactive. That was great. I see where I struggle. I still have a lot to learn because I was in like 10th place and I like to win.
Please don't forget to complete the session feedback.
Yes.
Thank you, Kat. I was just getting ready to say that as we wrapped up. Heard it from Kat. Please remember to fill out your session feedback. And we have 2 minutes left. Anybody else have anything quick as we wrap up? Thank you so much, ladies. If not, have a good afternoon.
Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.